Okay, so if we could have staff to the table, please. Thank you. So, Pauline.
Thank you. I'm just concerned about the lack of consultation on this one. So can you give me a steer on whether we should actually be consulting? Because we have heard today from some members of the community, but not all.
Certainly if this was going to be a permanent alcohol ban, we would be doing, a far more robust community consultation process. With it being a temporary ban, the council's alcohol restrictions bylaw allows a temporary ban to be put in place using the decision-making and consultation approaches required in Part 6 of the Local Government Act, and we believe that the process undertaken meets that requirement.
So we can bring one in as from today if it was approved as a temporary.
Yep.
And then if it was to be moved into a permanent, would the temporary stay in while the consultation was taking place?
Correct.
Yes. So you'd start that before the 6 months. So basically the aim here is to just start with the temporary and make it permanent.
That's right. Well, the aim here is to make it temporary and then to look at its effectiveness and look at whether moving to a permanent ban is the right solution for this particular issue.
So we're talking about a 6-month trial, but we'd be looking at the effects much earlier than that.
We'll be tracking the effects with the police and with other stakeholders the whole way through. So it's not simply going to be a case of letting it set and forget for 6 months and then see how it goes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any further questions? Phil.
Thank you for the report. Can I just ask you, and clearly, and you indicate very clearly in the report that this isn't a silver bullet, isn't going to fix all of the issues, and Te Whare Mata particularly referred to the long-standing issues, and basically, they didn't use this word, but it's like a lot of poverty in this area. So I'm just wondering, and the community board are asking for this temporary ban. So I'm just wondering, are there resources perhaps that council could, or ways that council could also support this in addition to the community board?
Well, the council is looking at a Housing First project, which will have links, I would suspect, to some of the issues being experienced in this part of the city. Later on today, the council will consider approving an alcohol action plan, and the partnerships established through that action plan are the types of partnerships that can form the basis of a more holistic and robust approach for the longer term. So there are some areas of council's current capability that we can turn to this issue, but it's probably an issue that we need to think about long term in terms of what our response, our capability should be.
Thanks, Gavin.
Thank you. Yanni and then Jimmy.
Yeah, and thanks for the information. I see that in page 655 there's quite a lot of discussion about community-based initiatives. I just wondered, given that we've heard repeatedly that people feel forgotten about, people don't feel that they're getting the level of investment in what is effectively one of the poorest urban areas in New Zealand, is there any other things that we can do as a council to give that community a sense of we do care about what's happening? Because everything seems to date to have been so slow. Even the regeneration plan, it's just, we don't seem to be seeing results in a timely fashion. And I mean, these issues were raised through the Central City Plan. So
I think it's important that we note that staff are here to talk about a proposed temporary alcohol ban, and that the issues that have been raised are far wider than that. Well, I'd like to keep questions to the matter that's in front of us.
So one of the deputations raised the concern that the ban can't be the only thing that we do in this area. So you don't want to address that now? When should we address that?
Well, I don't know that the staff that we've got at the table have got the expertise to address the wider issues that you're raising. Yes, there may well be other issues we want to consider in that area, but the staff that we've got at the table are here to talk to a proposed temporary alcohol ban.
I mean, I just contrast this with the report we've got from the Central City in terms of the developer forum, with a whole bunch of information about what we're doing. And can we get a report back then on what we can do other than the temporary alcohol ban in this area with timeframes?
Request community development staff to work with Te Whare Roimata and other partner agencies on the community development approaches to address wider social issues in the Linwood area.
But there's no time frame on that. There's no commitment to resources, and this has been, we've had so many resolutions like this that have gone through.
Okay, so if you wanted to put a time frame on that, I'm sure we could add something to that resolution. We've got a time frame of 6 months for the temporary alcohol ban. It would be reasonable to expect that work to be done within the same 6 months, so that at the same time as we're considering whether we extend the alcohol ban, there's other work that we could or should be doing, or that others could or should be doing.
Right. And can I suggest that the council also writes to New Zealand Post around the loss of the post shop and the bank, given that we've previously done that?
Okay. We're straying well outside of the issues around a temporary liquor ban. Have we got other questions at the table that are about the temporary liquor ban? Jimmy.
Thank you. My question is, could we undertake this temporary alcohol ban? One of the disadvantages you particularly emphasize here, during the hiring task force, those kind of alcohol drink they might move to some other area. And also based on the Pane remark, they particularly consider this kind of the all kind of citywide issue. So how to mitigate this immediate, this effect? How to mitigate? If they shift some other area, what's the problem? Okay.
I think everybody acknowledges that there is a risk of displacement, but those that have been through this process before believe that the displacement is unlikely to be the whole issue going from one place simply to another, but that there's a dispersal effect to some extent. As was mentioned earlier, a citywide alcohol ban would be ultra vires, so we can't consider that as an option. We have to focus on areas where there's clearly an issue that we need to address, and that this tool is the best way of addressing that issue. So.
Thank you. And Anne.
Finally, yes. This is great to be having this discussion as we're going to be looking at the Christchurch alcohol action plan in a wee while. So it's very good, and it's great to see that the focus on collaboration and working in partnership with all the agencies that are involved and looking at the big picture, as well as having some quick fixes as well, which is great. Just wondering how you're going to evaluate this after the 6 months. What kind of things will you be looking for? What will look like success for you?
Well, we'll be talking again with the groups that we've had the chance to talk with so far. So the police, Te Whare Roimata, the staff at the Linwood Centre, the collective for the homeless, and it'll be very much a mix of qualitative and quantitative assessment. So the police will have data on how things are looking from their side, but also a qualitative assessment of whether the issues have receded in the area, and I think everybody else will have views, and there will also inevitably be an element of how the alcohol ban is fitting with more community-based approaches. So the idea is this sets a new normal, if you like, from which those other initiatives can start to build.
Right, thank you very much. So now moving from questions into debate, do I have a mover for this item? Dion. Seconded by Anne. Okay, so yep. So that's picked up with in item 4, is it not?
It's partner agencies, but I just wanted to explicitly invite the police into that, I suppose.
So you want to add wording to work with Te Whare Roimata the police and other partner agencies. If we can please add those words. And Anne, as the seconder, you're happy with that? Fantastic. Okay, good. Thank you. Okay, so now moving into debate, we've got Dion, Pauline, Aaron, Yanni, Anne. Okay, can we run a timer on this as well?
I'll be quick.
Thank you.
I'll support this motion to put a temporary alcohol ban in. We will be working to also, you know, with the partner agencies to look at the impacts of this and actually understand what we can do if we need a permanent one or whatnot. The issues in Linwood Village, Stanmore Road are quite challenging. There are a number of social issues around the whole area, and drugs are a big issue, but drinking is an issue that's been identified by a lot of people in the community, and I was just writing down who I've spoken to that are in support of a temporary alcohol ban. The board supports it, the local businesses support it, the investors who are investing in the area are supporting it and want it for certainty around sort of the long-term investment in the area. Many of the residents are bound by the area that I've spoken to, have supported. The homeless have spoken in support of this. I think it's a positive move forward that we can actually take today to actually start to look at addressing some of the other issues that are actually in Linwood Village at the moment. I want to see Linwood Village succeed. I think all of us want to see Linwood Village succeed, which is why we sort of put the regeneration strategy around and have funded Te Whare Roimata to work with the partner agencies, Regenerate, to actually make that happen. And I think without doing this, we're sort of like, it's frightening people to actually say, I want to be part of Linwood Village. And the drug issue is something that I really want to tackle next year with whoever wants to help me do that. I think it's something we've got to put our foot down. This is the tip of the iceberg that we're seeing today, or seeing now. There's a whole lot of other stuff in the communities, but today we're looking at the liquor ban. It is an issue. There's a lot of support out there in our local community who want that, and I hope that this goes through so that we can actually start working longer term to actually get those solutions through.
Pauline.
Yeah, well, you know, initially I wasn't in favour of this. I think I saw it as a bit of a sledgehammer, but I agree with what Dion's saying there, and because it's been originated from the community board and it does seem to have a lot of community support, I'm prepared to support it as a temporary measure. I wouldn't like it to see it become per se permanent. I really would look forward to watching the results, and I'm more in favour of supporting the community development and community activation so that perhaps the problem resolves itself in that way, or the community resolves it. So today I will support the temporary ban.
Aaron.
Cool. I'll just quickly speak to one of the other things that was raised earlier around the toilets. The sooner that they're open and open 24 hour, and the better. And we also need to look at a couple of spots around the city where we supply showers next to the toilet blocks. Would just make sense. It's the humane thing to do, give homeless people the opportunity to be clean and dignified as often as possible, as often as they want to be. On the liquor ban, I will support this. I generally support all liquor bans that go through, because I don't see drinking in public places as an overly great outcome for the city. I've never seen it work anywhere. I hear about these picnics where you take a wine down to the beach or to a park and enjoy yourself. Bugger all people do that, to be honest, mostly. And people say that there's you need to show problems to have a liquor ban. I can find you problems in every single neighbourhood in this city where there are problems with alcohol and drinking in public. And in the so-called rich neighbourhoods where people don't drink on the street very often, now and then parties in those neighbourhoods can get out of control, and you can have a ton of kids turn up off social media and start drinking Woodstocks in your street, and having a liquor ban would help across the entire city. Drinking in a public park in the middle of the night never has a good outcome. Taking a box of woodies anywhere with your mates and then getting boozed and intimidating people doesn't have a good outcome. And this isn't just a homeless people problem. Tradesmen do it, businessmen do it, rugby heads do it. It's a common problem across our entire city, and we've got to grow up at some point and stop drinking in public. Drink at your own place, drink at your club, and drink in a bar where there's a licensed manager who can tell you how to behave when you get out of control.
Yanni.
Thank you. Yeah, I think Councillor Swiggs really showed the indication of support, and I know councillors have raised concerns about the consultation, but at our community board we actually heard from a wide range of people that were overwhelmingly supportive of us doing something. So there has been, I think, some consultation with people that are affected, and this is just a temporary measure to work through and do the evaluation, which I think the long-term solutions still need to be found for this area. I think one of the tragedies is that the Linwood Arts Centre was one of the first council buildings that we fixed after the earthquake, so we saw the value of doing something in this area really quickly. But unfortunately, the magnitude of the problem, which we were alerted to post-earthquake, that the poorest communities bear the biggest brunt of the cost and the effects, and we really need to be mindful of, have seemingly been, I think, neglected for at least 5 years. And that's been, I think that's a bit of a damning indictment on us in terms of the Central City Blueprint as a society, which is really focused on protecting property values in the Central City and gentrification along the eastern frame at the expense of these communities who lost huge amounts of housing for people on low incomes and ended up with almost nothing being replaced over the last 5 years. And let's hope today that this is the start of a change of a mindset as a city, that we're putting value in actually finding community solutions in this area, which, as I said, was and is one of the poorest urban areas in New Zealand, and yet has struggled to get anywhere near like the resources that we've put into central city development, the tens of millions that we've given away to developers in the 4 Avs versus lack of investment in this area. So I look forward to number 4 coming back to us. The board has asked previously for really clear timeframes and actions so that we can measure what's happening, and I would just encourage under 4 that we do take a wide approach. We actually do talk to the new government, who I think will be much more people focused around the loss of things like the work and income offices that used to be there, like the government owned bank and the post shop that used to be there. I think there can be solutions working with central government, with the community and the council together. So we just need to make sure that it's a commitment and not lose sight of the fact that we've put this temporary ban in place, and that's the only thing we're going to do. We must be focused on those other things as well.
Thank you. Anne.
Fully supportive of this today. It's come from the community board, who are concerned around community safety and are recognising the ongoing harm that is being caused by alcohol. And this ban is another tool that we can use in the fight against the harm that alcohol does in this community. So it's a 6-month trial, and it will give us an opportunity to test and evaluate whether this will achieve what we want it to achieve. And our strategy, our proposed strategic framework, states that we want to achieve together strong communities that have a strong sense of community, that are safe and healthy, and value the voices of our children and young people. And we heard that from Adrian today. So this is an example too of the strengthening relationship and partnership that's building between the police and the community, and it's exciting to see what's happening in this place. It feeds beautifully into our discussion about the Christchurch Alcohol Action Plan, which we'll be discussing and endorsing soon, and it provides a strong, as a community we're saying loudly and clearly that we are wanting to stand up against the harm that alcohol is causing in our community. So strongly endorse it and support this.
Thank you. I'm also happy to support this as a temporary measure. Clearly, it allows us to deal with some serious issues in this area sooner rather than later. It also provides a window of opportunity for us to do some more work with the community to work out what a permanent solution here might look like. And I certainly note the comments made by Te Whare Roimata regarding community engagement and the approach to dealing with wider issues, and I'm pleased to see that picked up in item 4 of our resolutions today, and with a time frame around that, and also in fact with that going back to the community board. Community board clearly have got a strong view on this, and I'm certainly taking a strong steer from the local community, led by the community board, that this is what's required, at least on a temporary basis. And I certainly look forward to the work in paragraph 4 being done, and the community board having the opportunity to consider what the next steps might be, both what council is able to do and what other agencies are able to do, and what the community is actually able to do to take ownership of what happens in their own area for themselves. So I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against? That's carried. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Can I just say one more thing? We've had to work pretty hard to get this to council prior to Christmas for consideration to cover that summer period. The people we've worked with, so the Collective of Homeless, Te Whare Roimata, the police, have all given their time at very short notice, and we're very thankful for the assistance they've given us.
So I'd like to echo those thanks. Thank you to you as staff, and thank you to the other agencies that have worked so hard to make this happen. It's been good that we've been able to debate it today, so thank you very much indeed for the effort and the time that you've put into it. Thank you. Absolutely, absolutely. All right. So